what happened 13 years ago today, Chris?
13
that caught
years
the eye of your putting together our poll question at Rich Eisen Show?
Today, Tony Soprano and his family went to Holston's, right, for some onion rings. Members-only jacket guy walks in. Fade to black. Sopranos finale 13 years ago today.
13 years ago
so
today.
Throwing out a poll real quick. If you're a fan of the show, spoiler alert.
Oh, come on.
And
again, I'll just repeat this before you unpack it. I know there are people who are binge watching The Sopranos for the first time during the pandemic. I see them on Twitter or whatever. Even those folks will had to have known 13 years ago today was the spark. It was the spark of a 48-hour conversation of the way this series ended. Okay.
Did members?
I don't want to hear spoiler alert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did members only jacket guy kill Tony Soprano in the finale? Yes, no. At Rich Eisen Show.
I will, and I know you don't want to have me put a finger on the scale. The only finger you like me putting on the scale is hitting the retweet button on one of our poll questions.
I love the RT.
Which I will do. I will, if you will, fire hose it out in the way that we can, best that I can do best. The poll question, let me fire hose that out. Start right now.
About an hour ago.
Boom.
I got two good ones.
Go.
Two good polls.
There you
today.
go. So, absolutely. Members only jacket.
You think absolutely?
Absolutely. Then why did David Chase want a 30-second long dark black screen with no music and it only lasted 6 to 8 seconds? What else is he trying to communicate other than the fact that something dark happened and that this was Tony's transferring into a dark place?
I like that theory, but I think
shot dead in front of his family.
I like your theory, but I think you live.
What is the other theory? There is no other theory.
I mean, the other theory is that, it's just Tony is going to have to constantly live in fear and look over his shoulder for the rest of his life. That someone could be coming to take him out. And he's just, the constant cutting back and forth between members only jacket and Tony to the bathroom and back.
Watching Jamie Lynn Sigler
try to parallel park. By the way,
parallel park during to Don't Stop Believin' was one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever seen. And
every time, by the way, that I don't parallel park on the first time, I always think to myself, pulling a Meadow right now.
You say, well, you know what I say to you? Don't stop believing. Keep going.
I'm trying.
I remember Susie and I had a whole host of friends over. I think Susie ordered up like chicken parm for everybody. We got into it, hey, we'll have Italian.
Yeah, of course.
We'll have some prosciutto, as we said back in Staten Island.
Prosciutto.
All of it. And I remember when it ended. And that how long was it? 8 seconds?
It was not very long. Yeah, 6, 8 seconds, something like that.
It wasn't quick. It felt like forever.
Felt like forever.
Because you're waiting to see what's happening. Are they going to come up on another scene?
Right.
Or are credits coming up? But most of everybody thought in the house, including my wife, was, did I forget to pay the DirecTV bill?
Everyone thought their cable went out.
It was so
honestly, they looked at me like, what happened? Like, it went on long enough that the entire room turned their heads to me. And you know how you can interpret the look from your spouse or your life partner?
Sure. What did you do?
You can interpret that look on the spot. I got that look and I'm like, hey, everybody, I'm current. I don't know what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
And then credits started to roll. I breathed a sigh of relief, and then the conversation began, what the hell happened and what happened. And the consensus in the room was that Tony was...
Consensus in the room?
Consensus in the room that Tony got whacked in front of his family. Fact.
Wow.
What else would it mean? I know that you're saying, well, hey, it's the metaphor for him having to look over his shoulder as the entire rest of his life. Like, we know Tony Soprano would have to look over his shoulder for the rest of his life. What we don't know is he living or dead. And for whatever reason, David Chase, who I'm sure has had an oral history explanation of this,
there's articles
decided to make this an open-ended question. And why else would he have wanted it longer if the guy wasn't whacked in the diner?
He wants you to make the decision of what you think happened.
But he wants that conversation to be had. But to me, there's really no conversation. Or it was the real James Gandolfini envisioning the future of his beloved New York Jets. Right there. As a fellow Jet fan, I know that 6 to 8 seconds of dark silence. Fake spike. I don't want to go on and on.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
They would have used the song by Coldplay.
Gandolfini.
Life in Mono. Is that a song?
Gandolfini.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.